Hi everybody, thanks for joining us today. My name's Lena and I'm here at Olenick joined by two of our consultants from our professional services group. We have Scott Christensen and Jorge Martinez this morning, and we're really here to talk about two issues. So I'm going to let Scott start us off. Can you just explain the difference between Meltdown and Spectre for us?
Thank you, Elena. The root problem that is sweeping the industry and taking all the dialogue by storm these days is that chip manufacturers such as Intel and AMD used a technique to read memory ahead or anticipate memory that needed to be read, and the manner in which they wrote the logic on that chip has been found to be insecure and could be reading the memory of another person's session. We can imagine the implications of that, not just in a desktop computing environment, but in a cloud computing environment where we could be reading and addressing the memory of another confidential session. So it's kind of a big deal, frankly, as a potential vulnerability. So while none of this has been exploited, as we say, in the wild yet, the potential issue is fairly significant, especially in the cloud computing environment. There really are two separate issues or vulnerabilities. The first one is commonly referred to as meltdown. That can be fixed by application of the most recent Microsoft patches that came out in January of 2018. The Spectre vulnerability is a little bit different because Spectre requires a BIOS or UEFI upgrade. So this is essentially patching at the hardware level or firmware level. And it requires not only the BIOS or UEFI patch, but also then the Microsoft software patch in order to remove the vulnerability completely.
Thanks, Scott. And I know that there are some antivirus implications for this. Jorge, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so as Scott mentioned, there is the Microsoft patch that was released to resolve the meltdown issue. The biggest implication there is that Microsoft has come out and said that third-party antivirus programs may not be compatible with the new patch. So they have reached out to all the individual third-party vendors and have essentially asked them to update their programs to be compatible and told users that they must upgrade their AV to a compatible version before they can provide this patch. There is currently methods to override this requirement. However, it's really not recommended that they override it, just because if they do, there's risks of a lot of errors in the computer that might lead to things as drastic as blue screening and other issues like that.
All right, so for our viewers, what are the major differences between Windows 7 and Windows 10 operating systems?
Yeah, so one of the biggest differences there is the manner in which the patch is delivered. For Windows 7, the patch is delivered alongside all the monthly patches, which means that users can opt to either A, introduce the patch into their environment, or B, void it and skip it and continue patching other things on Windows 7. However, on Windows 10, all the patches are kind of bundled together into a singular bucket. So in order to provide patching for January or really any month afterwards, they have to go ahead and put this patch down. And with those implications on antivirus, this might be a little bit harder task than what it would be on Windows 7.
All right. So what kind of potential performance implications are we talking about, Scott?
Yeah, unfortunately, the speculation on that has been wild, and the range of performance impact potentially with the fixes for this problem range from 5 to 30% of a performance hit. While we don't expect most knowledge workers to suffer a performance hit at the higher end of that, the implications for cloud computing environments where the CPU utilization, for instance, is much higher, the possibility of that being a much higher performance hit is high. So there's concern out there in the industry for data centers, whether they're out in the cloud or hosted on-premise.
And what kind of services does Olenick offer to help these organizations respond to vulnerabilities?
Well, we do a number of things. First and foremost, Olenick, in their 19-year history, is first and foremost a quality engineering company. We do quality assurance and testing services and have a wide variety of services. An example of that is a new product of ours called WinPack. And we deploy patching in our clients' environments, as well as provide testing services to make sure that the patches do not break or interrupt application compatibility. and we provide that for clients worldwide. As well, we do a number of engineering services, Windows 10 deployments from soup to nuts, that sort of thing. We are certainly keeping up on this evolving issue because, as any of you that are following it already know, it's complex. It's more of a journey than an event. It seems like there is new information unfolding each and every day. So we certainly offer that you reach out and contact us if we can help you with regard to this vulnerability.
That's great. Thank you both for joining us today, and thanks for everyone on the line. If you need any more contact with us, you can go ahead and link up with us on LinkedIn and visit our organization's website at www.olenick.com, and we hope to keep this conversation going in the next couple of weeks. Thank you both.
Thank you.